So tonight I want to talk about spirituality and science. Topic. So much of the time fighting between these three topics. Right? We see that religions fight each other, and they don't fight each other. They argue with each other. We see that science fights religion, and we see that spirituality and religion have there's some people see a difference between the two, and rightly so. I'll say rightly so. So, unless we understand the synthesis of all three of these things, spirituality, religion, and science, we really are unable to have a happy, genuine life, an actual spiritual existence. We may go to church, we may get some solace, but we're not going to have the experience that we can have. As a human being, we have the ability to experience more than an animal. Would you all agree? As a human being, you can experience certain things an animal can't experience. For instance, a human being can experience love deeper than most animals. A human being, not saying that all animals also experience love, they sacrifice themselves sometimes, but it's rare and it is true in some cases. A human being can experience sadness on a deeper level. And a human being can experience a different type of fear that animals can have. They can experience this deeper fear. One thing a human being can do that an animal never does is it can ask, who am I? Where did I come from? And where am I going? Animals don't ask that question. What happens after death? Animals don't ask about God. They don't inquire about salvation or liberation or enlightenment. So a human being is distinguished. And so as a human being, we want everybody in this movement and the people who practice this process, you want everybody to have the highest possible experience in the human life. We want you to have the highest possible happiness. So we don't want to settle for that happiness which is just available to animals. What's the happiness of the animals? Eating, sleeping, sex, defending, not so much happiness, but they're defending that eating, sleeping, and sex. They need to defend that. So animals, they live on this premise. So if a human being is on this basis, then life is made for tapo divyam, putraka yena sattvam, that this tapo divyam, divine austerities or controlling the senses, living in a divine way, to control the senses, control the self, control the mind, and therefore sattvam, purifying our hearts, purifying our minds, and connecting with God, which gives us, in Sanskrit, Brahma Sokyam Tonantam, everlasting happiness, which ever increases and never ends. That sounds pretty nice, right? Everlasting happiness, which ever increases and never ends. So, it is a science. It is not just religion or some wooey thing. All religion is based in science. So I want to explain that. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is one of the most ancient books in the world. It was written down 5,000 years ago. And it's described that it was actually older than 5,000 years old, but it's been respoken many times. And so this 5,000-year-old Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna, God, or the song of God. Bhagavad means God and Gita means song. So Bhagavad Gita means the song of God. So this is not like a religious text, like people call, like, I have a religious text, right? We have different religious scriptures out there. There's a Bible, there's a Quran, there's the Buddhist text, there's the Vedas. There's so many different religious texts. Correct? And so what does a religious text do? What's the goal of a religious text? This is a holy fire. Just like there's holy water, it's a holy fire. It's a blessed fire, in case anybody's wondering.
We talk about our relationship with God.
Yeah, so a religious text basically explains what is your relationship with God. So in the Bhagavad Gita, one thing Krishna says is, of sciences, I am the spiritual science itself. So in other words, these are all external. But what is the actual science behind that religion that makes one have a certain experience? So I wanted to talk about the scientific method. So the scientific method begins with an observation. Every time in doing science, someone has to observe. And that observation, first off, one can observe that I'm not this body. I'm the soul within the body. I'm the soul within the body. So when we understand that first and foremost basic principle, whatever belief you have, whatever you've grown up with, whatever color or whatever race or whatever religion you are, you have to understand in order for your religion to become successful, in order to be a genuine and successful Christian, you have to understand first and foremost fundamental theology of Christianity and of all religions is that I'm not this body. I'm a soul. So my Guru Maharaj, he often asks, do you believe you have a soul? Who here believes they have a soul? I would say you don't have a soul. I would say you are a soul and you have a body. This is a kind of a fundamental shift in consciousness. If I have a soul, where do I keep it? What is it? And who am I? Who is this you that has a soul? Who is this person that you that it means I'm this body and I'm an American and I'm going to die and I get old and I have problems. But rather when one understands, no, actually I am the soul and I have a body. I'm a soul having a material experience. Now we open the doors into understanding God and higher consciousness and this sort of thing. So this is an observation, I'm not this body. Another observation, if you analyze the science of God, spiritually, if you analyze it, another observation is, it was already taken, is that, why am I suffering? Whoever's asked that. Why do I have to suffer? It's already been taken. Yeah. Yeah. I told her to come back there. Why do bad things happen to good people? Who asks that? Why do bad things happen to good people? So these are kind of common questions people ask. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there suffering? Why am I suffering? These are very common questions. So in answering these questions and trying to divulge the answers to these questions, we make an observation. So everybody can observe that I'm suffering. Everybody can observe that I'm unhappy. Everybody can observe that I'm having challenges in life. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with those challenges? Why are we so uncomfortable with challenges in life? Any explanations?
You're out of our control.
They're not in our control. Give me some more answers.
Takes us away from pleasure.
Takes us away from pleasure. We like pleasure. What else? It's difficult. Change, not fun.
We fear from failing
We fear failing. Yeah, that's a big one. Are you a college student?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from college students. We fear failing. So, therefore, the real answer is it's not supposed to be this way. It doesn't make sense for us to suffer. We don't feel right in a temporary world. What about death? What's wrong with death? Why don't we like death? No one likes it.
daunting.
It's daunting. It's unknown, the fear of the unknown. What? Oh, right, it means birth. Yeah.
Lose everything we worked for.
We lose everything we've ever done, right? I made $1 million. I did it. I had a beautiful wife at one point. I had a big house. And now I don't have it anymore. So death takes that away. So that's also not right. Because when you accept that I'm the soul, it means first and foremost you're an eternal being. Well, the soul is described by certain qualities. That I'm eternal, I'm full of knowledge, I'm full of this. In the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, it says Sat Chidananda. The soul is eternal. The soul is full of knowledge. The soul is full of bliss. So this full of knowledge means that we actually know ourselves. We know who we are. We're aware of what we are. Full of eternality. We understand that I have always existed and I'll always continue to exist. Because it's described in the Bhagavad Gita that the soul is part of God. Mamaivam sho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashtash indriyani prakriti stani karshati. The soul is an eternal fragment of God. It's not God. It'll never become God. It's not as powerful as God. It's always subjugated. It's never the full supreme Lord. But the soul is made of the same spiritual substance as God. God made, right, in the image of man. Right? Man is made in the image of God. All living entities are made in the image of God. Because living entities have a soul. And they have spiritual energy. If it's alive, it has spiritual energy inside it. Therefore, it's made in the image of God. It's this quality of spirit, which is beautiful. If we see someone very beautiful, but then when they die, that body is no longer beautiful, right? Bury it under the ground. Burn it immediately. Touch it with gloves. So when we see someone very beautiful, when we see someone very attractive, we're not attracted to the body. We're attracted to the soul within the body. And when that soul leaves, we say, mother has gone, father has gone, brother has gone. We say like that. Actually, my brother left his body yesterday, one of my brothers. So, Hare Krishna. So, anyhow, when the soul leaves, it's gone. And we say that person is gone. So this soul is very important. It's very important to understand what is the soul. This is our observation. We can observe these things. I don't like death. I don't like getting old. I don't like bad things happening to me. I don't like pain. I don't like this stuff. Why do I suffer? These are questions. So then we make a hypothesis. In science, you make a hypothesis. So the spiritual hypothesis is that I'm not this body. I'm a spirit soul within the body. Make sense? And that if I'm a spirit soul within a body, I'm a part and parcel of God. I'm a part of the supreme spiritual Lord. I'm part of this great, vast, infinite being known as God, who has infinite love for me and who has infinite care and compassion for me. I'm part of this being. And therefore, my activity as a soul is to serve, to love, to have a relationship with that supreme being. Sensible. That's our hypothesis. So if you think that you're an American, what do you do? What do Americans do? What?
Football.
Maybe they watch football. They pledge allegiance to the flag. They participate in democracy. Capitalism, yeah, it's a capitalist country. We grind. We get welfare sometimes. You think that you're a girl. Don't kill me here. I know the way things are these days. If you think that you're a girl, what do you do? What do girls do?
I don't know.
Materialism.
They have different things they do. What? Comb the hair. The Prabhupada said, combing the hair is one of the first. His main business. Yeah. I got an easy explanation. And there are exceptions. Don't shoot me up here. I'm the best here. Girls like boys. Okay, generally. Sometimes they don't. What about if you're a man? What do you do? What do you do? If you think you're a man, what do you do? They like girls. They may like to, they like to compete. They have all kinds of things. Men have all kinds of psychological problems. I know I am one, so it's true. What? Yeah, women are perfect. We have all kinds of psychological problems. We got to feel like, we have inferiority complex, then a superiority complex. It's coming from an inferiority complex. So we have these kind of concepts about the self. You have these false conceptions. I am man, I am woman. What about if you're a Catholic, what do you do?
Rosary.
You pray the rosary, you go to mass. So you realize as a soul, if you say, actually, man, my body's man. I'm not a woman, my body's a woman. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Hindu. I'm not Indian. I'm not American. If you identify as I'm a soul, and that soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what do I do? What do I do? If I identify myself as I am an eternal spiritual being who happens to be in a relationship with God, what is my activities? Love. Love. There's your answer. Love. Who do you love? Everybody. But primarily, how do we love everybody? By loving God. If you love God and you know that every soul is part and parcel of God, therefore you love everybody. And people will feel it. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Doesn't mean we don't have our good days, bad days. But generally, a spiritual person develops love for everybody. It's very easy. This is basically the judgment of a spiritual person. It's how much they've developed love. So there's our hypothesis. I'm part and parcel of the Lord, and I have a relationship with him, and that relationship is one of love, and therefore I should engage myself in love of that being. Now, I don't care what religion you call yourself. This is a universal truth. You can express that love in the Christian way. You can express that love in the Hindu way. You can express that love in the Jewish way. It's not that, and then when you get logical, because now then this comes this closed-mindedness of material energy, that the same reason a black person and white people, they've fought in the past, right? This racism, or you see there was, the Crusades, the Christians came and killed so many Islamic people, and then now the Islamic people, some of them are killing Christians, killing Jews. So where is this? How is this in any way saintly or holy? This is not God conscious, because they're not seeing the actual truth of spirituality. They're not having an experience. So there's our hypothesis. So then we have to form an experiment. How do we prove I'm part and parcel of God? How do I experience that spiritual energy? So based on our hypothesis, which is I'm not this body, I'm a soul. The soul is part of God, and the soul has a loving relationship. So now I need to form an experiment by which I can prove that. This experiment is called Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga, and this is exactly what we teach here. Every single thing you see in this room, as strange as it may be, if you're a new person, has a scientific reason for being there and is meant to facilitate a certain state of consciousness. It's done with very much intention, very much science, very much consciousness. It's not sentimental in any way, shape, or form, although it induces certain sentiments. So the experiment is bhakti, that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm the soul is part of God, let me engage in this loving relationship with God. So bhakti is the process by which we engage in this loving relationship, which begins with what we were doing earlier. We were chanting this, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We were chanting this mantra here. Muna was singing very nicely, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. She was singing this nicely. So this is a form of expressing love for God. God has infinite names because God is infinite. So two of God's names are Krishna and Rama. So the definition of God, which is also scientific, if you're going to define this being as God, what do we define him as? What is God? Anybody have any explanations? Underneath, guys like fire. I'm going to fire something off. I can feel it. He thinks about this type of stuff a lot.
You, the person that comes to mind, the source of everything.
The source of everything. What do you think, Anthony? Do you have a definition of God? God, everything. Living and dead, right? Living, inanimate and animate. What do you think, Bala? Maintainer. Alita.
Beginning and the end.
Alpha and the Omega. Yes.
It's beyond our imagination.
Beyond what we see, absolutely inconceivable. Adhoksajay. Achuta is beyond our senses. What's your name?
Partha.
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 Yeah.
Like Partha Sarthi, like Arjuna.
Yeah.
Partha, okay. Nice to meet you. Nice. Okay, so yeah, the source of everything, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvapavartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my loving service with all their hearts. So if we know what God is, we engage in his service with love. This is the form of connection. This is the way in which we connect. I mean, we all have a relation. Some of us have been friends a long time here, and we all have a different relationship. And so we express that. Are you leaving, Alita? Okay. No, I'm just wondering. I was going to say bye if you were leaving. So if we have a loving relationship, we may express that in different ways. Like the way I would express my love for Gauranga Prem may be different than the way I express my love for Balagopinath or Nitai Niranjana or Divya Singha, because we have a different relationship. But anyway, there's some expression of that love. So this chanting of Hare Krishna, chanting God's names, is a universal expression of loving him. Because you can't really like give something to God. He has everything. He already said he's the source of everything. So even if you earned $1 trillion and gave it to God, then it's pennies to God. He owns all them. He owns all the planets. He owns everything. So the only thing you have, because you have free will, the only thing you have to offer the Lord is love. That's the only thing you can choose to withhold or hold back. You have that ability. You have free will. Because there can't be love without free will. I can't force you to love me. So God creates us in that way because God exists on the platform of love. That's pretty much the only reason God exists. I mean, there's no reason for him. He just exists. He's always been and always has been. But if you were God, what would you do? Would you be angry, envious, jealous, smiting people? It's like, when you're a little kid, you might have toward an anthill or something, That's our corrupted kind. You think God's like that? He's like, I'm gonna fire up I'm gonna earthquake these people and smash them. He's not like that. So then why do bad things happen to good people? Well, we'll get there. But anyways, we have this ability to offer love for him. And so in the Bible, it's described in the last verse of the Psalms. It says, one should glorify the name of God with cymbals and drums from morning till evening. So what do you see up there? Drums. What do you see in my hands? What was I playing earlier? Playing cymbals. We're chanting the names of God. Krishna means the all attractive. God is all attractive, all beautiful. Rama means the source of all happiness. God is the source of all happiness. And Hare is an expression of devotion for God. I'm the feminine, addressing the feminine or the energies of God. So that's in the Bible. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of all the forms of sanctification, of purifying the heart, of expressing love for me, I am the chanting of the holy names. In the Bhagavatam, it says, Etavan Sankhya Yoga Vyam, actually, wrong verse. Etanya Vidyamanana Michitam Akatobayam, Yoganam Nipranirtam, Haranam Manukirtanam. Whether you're full of material desires, whether you have no material desires, whether you're a great yogi, the perfect and fearless way to perfection for all is the chanting of my holy name, chanting of the name of Hari, of God. So this chanting of God's name is universal. And even in the Quran, it says there's 99 names of God. Of course, there's more than that. But it says that one should chant those names. This is a universal expression of love. So this experiment, Bhakti Yoga, can be done by chanting. It can be done by praying. Praying is also a way in which we enter a relationship with God. Praying to the Son of God, Jesus Christ, praying to the spiritual masters, the great teachers, the prophets, not as if they are God, but for intercessions, right? We can pray for people, or we can ask people to pray for us. This is kind of a way you can ask. Catholic Church does that. Right? This is a way we interact or relate with the Lord. Worship, like we have this altar here. This is very scientific thing here. It's a very interesting, artistic way of expressing love for God. There's a whole science behind it. It's a meditation, form of meditation. Hearing about, right? Reading the Bible, reading the Bhagavad Gita, reading the Quran. We can hear about God. So in this way, one develops this loving relationship. So after an experiment, you analyze the results of the experiment. So the Bhagavad Gita says, Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitamidam Uttamam Pratyaksavagimam Dharmam Susukam Kartamavyayam. So Krishna is speaking, he says, Rajavidya, that this knowledge which we're speaking about tonight, this knowledge is Rajavidya. It's the king of education. It's the king of all knowledge. Raja means king, and Vidya means knowledge. It's the king of knowledge, Rajavidya. Rajaguyam, it's the king of secrets. Parvitam idam uttamam, it's the supreme pure. It's the supreme pure knowledge. It's so pure. Pratyak sab agimam dharmam. It's pratyak. Now this is the point I want to make here tonight, most importantly, is that if you really want to go into spirituality, you want to just, I believe in God, blah, blah, blah. You want to have it to where it changes your life, to where like it actually transforms pleasures or pains into pleasures, lust into love, hate into compassion. You want this kind of experience of like experiencing how the Lord purifies us and makes us a saint. You want that experience rather than just, I'm a religious person. I wear the tilak, I put on the dress and whatever. I wear my or whatever you want to dress like, I have my, I have my necklaces and things, and whatever. I got my beads and I got all the cool stuff going on here. I go to the temple. I go to the church on Sunday. I'm a good person. If you want something more than that, and you need this pratyak, it has to be experienced. It's not a matter of belief. If you stay at the level of I believe in God, then I feel really sorry. I feel very sorry for people who tell me that. I have so much faith. And especially if they're new people, if they're like, new to the whatever spiritual path they're in, I can understand. Hare Krishna, Arjuna. If they're new to that, I understand it's one thing. But if after years of practicing a spiritual practice, you don't have a solid experience and proof of God in your own heart, and the experiment becomes true, then you're not doing it right. So it's pratyak. It's self-explanatory. It actually manifests the self. So Krishna says that it's the perfection of religion. This service to God, this bhakti yoga, this process of bhakti, this spiritual science, is the perfection of all religions, meaning all the different religions, they lead to this point of bhakti. That's the goal of the religion, is to have this full realization of my relationship with the Lord. And it's the perfection of religion because it gives direct perception of the Lord and of who you really are by realization. Meaning like you've realized it, you know it. There's no question of like, I believe in this, I have faith. You know it. And so and that takes away fear, that takes away shame, that takes away hate, heart. And that's a universal experience, heart. And that's a universal experience. You have all kinds of saints in every tradition. There's mystical experience of God consciousness. We practice this with sincerity when we actually engage in the spiritual science. So you have your observation. I'm not this body. Why am I suffering? You have your hypothesis. I'm suffering because I'm an eternal being in a temporary body. And I identify with this body. This is not where we want to be. But we don't like death. Why we like, all these things? Because you're an eternal. So why should you have to die? Why do I die? Why do I have to take birth? Why was I born where I was born? Why did this happen to me? This introduces a few new elements that we're going to talk about. The Bhakti Yoga is the end goal. It'll solve all the issues. But then there's other things that when I was growing up, I had these big questions. One of them was, why do bad things happen to good people? Why are some people born in certain places and some people born in other places? How does this, apparently what we learn in church, this all loving, all compassion, all merciful God, why do these things happen? Give me some answers. Okay. Anything else?
God's mean. Just how you attach this.
Anything else?
Sometimes giving birth in an impoverished environment or having impoverished behavior at the beginning, the great motivator to ask these questions of something.
Definitely true. That's spoken by one who seems like he's realized that. Parker.
Tyranny of men.
Tyranny. Vanessa.
Like, because Krishna just takes everything away. Because they can more easily realize you're happy for no reason. And great mercy.
Okay. So, yes, all those are good answers. Except Louisa's answer. That was a wrong answer. God is not mean.
Oh, shoot.
We project our, our consciousness onto God. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I project my consciousness onto you.
It's also really nice.
I'm the mean one. So when we go back to our experiment, that I'm this spiritual being in a material body that's temporary. I'm an eternal spiritual being. Bhagavad Gita says, I'm in a temporary material body, and I have a relationship. Now, let me ask you this: what is the goal of life?
Realize the self.
To realize the self, to make money and get cars. Like, what was your goal of life? Some of you have been doing this. What was your goal of life before this? Yeah.
To be remembered in a positive way.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you for contributing that. What was your goal in life before this?
Sad, I don't remember.
We didn't have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, survival. Yeah.
Surviving. That's a good one, right? Most people think of that. What was your goal? What was your goal, Jamuna? Before Krishna consciousness.
She just, that's what I
There was never a time she wasn't devoted. What was your goal before Sean?
Famous artist.
Sean was an artist. All this art, all the art you see in Govinda's sites in that next room, and a few pieces are done by Bala Gopinath and Sean. These two here, they're great artists.
Krishna revealed to me.
I think you're
My goal before, my goal was to make money, and even before that, I was going to be like famous guitar player. That was my goal. So we have these different goals, We think that's going to make us happy. But when you add your experiment and when you have your hypothesis and then you add the experiment and you have the proof of the experiment via the spiritual experiences, now that changes everything. The goal of life is, if I'm a spiritual being and my basic principle of existence is this loving relationship with God, what is my goal of life? To live that out, to develop love for the Lord. That's it. Let me have my romance, let me have my sweetness, my friendship, my fun, my tears, my laughs. Let me share them with the Lord. That's a real experience we can have in spiritual life. God, Krishna is my best friend. Krishna is my sweetest companion. He's my lover. He's my only companion. He's my everything. And therefore, that perspective changes all the things that happen to us in life, you see. Because now all of these things that happen to us become ways and means by which we can come closer to God. That the things are happening to us to help us develop our relationship. Because we're kind of in a place in this material world, it's more of a place of rectification. That's why we have karma. Someone mentioned karma earlier. Karma is science. Jesus spoke about karma. He said, as you sow, so shall ye reap. That's karma. Isaac Newton spoke about karma. He said, for every action, there is an opposite or equal reaction. Karma means the activities you perform have some reaction. And that reaction creates us a next life, a next body. Whether we go up we can go to different higher realms, to lower realms, hellish realms, or the end goal of spirituality is to exit this cycle. Are you going to say for prasadam, Vanessa?
Oh, yeah.
We have a lot of it, so
Absolutely. Of course I
we
am.
don't want you to leave yet.
I'm not leaving. I don't live here, but I live here.
We don't, but we want to exit this kind of cycle of birth and death. We don't want to take birth again. We want to go back to be with the Lord. This is our goal. This is our, thank you. This is our goal. What?
Got one, yeah.
Okay, we'll do it, but turn it back up before
Don't tell anybody.
the man gets here. But, so anyways, yeah, we don't want to take birth again. We don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to suffer these births, death, old age, and disease. So we have our karma. Everything that happens to us is we've been living for, when we accept, like, for me, it answered all my questions. I read this Bhagavad Gita. I said, oh my God, wait a minute. Are you telling me that all of this stuff is happening to me because I've lived many lifetimes and and I'm experiencing reactions from my past lives? Oh, there's a relief. Because when you take the more we can take responsibility for our life, the more freedom we have. And you're telling me that that this whole thing is a kind of a spiritual test, and that I'm not this body, I'm the soul, and that actually when I engage in the spiritual process, I don't have to do this again, and I'll have a spiritual experience in this life, and then that spiritual experience in this life will give me proof of a spiritual experience in a next position, next life, or I don't have to take birth anywhere. I can go be with God, have an experience like that because I'm experiencing that now. It becomes all based on experience. So it solves the problems of life. Karma solves our love problem. It solves our fear problem. It solves our pleasure problem. Because we get so much pleasure. Some of us here are monks. Been a monk for 6 years almost. And so, we have limited sense enjoyment. Really just living very same every day, pretty much. Do a lot of praying, that type of thing. But no girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. Living simply, but so much spiritual experience. So much immense spiritual experience. And anybody, wherever you're at, whatever you do, you can have that spiritual experience, which is so pleasing and so pleasurable, and which really is the way we overcome like bad habits, or they say sin, right? Sinful bad habits, whatever. We all have bad habits, right? Some of us, we look at our phones too much, we drink, or we smoke, all these types of things. They can all be given up very easily by one who has a high spiritual experience. It becomes very easy to control the senses and the mind. You're experiencing the love of Krishna. It becomes very easy. And so when you chant Hare Krishna, we have a prescribed method of meditation many of us do here. And we chant on these beads. Prayer beads are a universal tool. All the great spiritual practices are prayer beads, and they're ancient. If you live with God, if someone's always into drugs, overindulgence in sex, up to God in that way. But when we control our senses, then we can go deeper into this spiritual experience. Intoxication. I've come to the conclusion that a cell phone is also an intoxicant. Come to that conclusion with full conviction. Having been very experienced in the world of intoxication, I can tell you that actually a cell phone might be more intoxicating. It's harder to give up your phone than it is to give up a lot of drugs. I'm serious. Definitely is. Definitely is. I've given up stuff, but like that Facebook, that is very difficult. People become addicted to it. So anyways, you live a prescribed life. You live a good life, what we call a sattvic life. It helps you to connect. And you do some of this science. This is a science, we teach it here. And that science will give you a spiritual experience. And we know many Christians, we know many Jews, we know many even people of Islam, all different faiths that have come here. And they've experienced a very deep connection with God by applying this science. And that doesn't take away from their, understanding of their religion. But this is, as I said, a spiritual science. It's the most ancient form of spirituality. And so religion actually means relegare in Latin. Legare means to link, and means to re. So relink means to reconnect with God. And reconnecting with God is what spirituality is. So this is the science of spirituality, of which religions are based off of. If you actually follow a religion very nicely, then it should lead you to spirituality. You should develop love for the Lord. And then, therefore, this is where science, religion, and spirituality meet. And there's so much more to say. I don't think I have the time to say it. So I'll open it up now for some discussion. We like discussion, so questions, comments.
We're talking about that. We're talking about self-hope. I was kind of proud to say to people, I don't watch it. I don't kind of. But, like you say, self-hope now very, very difficult because you can program what you want. With TV, we definitely get more option, freedom. So actually, in the society, they try many ways to hook us with the passive power. So people, they say they're not interested in IT, but they're interested in all the stuff like the car, cell phone, all the addiction. So we never free from all these passive. So just because we thinking we are free of it. So by changing Krishna, but if we use those things for Krishna consciousness, we don't get addicted.
Yeah.
We don't get trapped. So actually you can use anything.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Nice point. Oh, Nitai.
How long would you say it takes for someone to, like you, for example, you have like a spiritual experience process?
I had a spiritual experience through this process the very first day I did it.
Yeah.
I sat down the spiritual experience I had was I met someone who was very spiritually advanced. That in itself was a spiritual experience. Because I was into all kinds of different types of meditation, reading all the religions, and I was like into everything. And well, there's different ones actually. Yeah, then I met a devotee, and he was really, like I can see that he was like connected and happy and deep in a way that I'd never seen before in any spiritual person. I'd never seen anybody like that, who like had this type of knowledge and who had this type of lifestyle. Like the lifestyle he lived was so incredible to me. I was blown away. Like I get up 2 hours before the sun rises every day and meditate and pray. You do that every day for 60 years, 50 years. You've done that? Yeah. And you make millions of dollars, yet you live you sleep on the floor and live in this little room, and the rest of your money you use to help spread and enlighten people. Yeah. And you're just an incredible person. And then I had another experience before that where I went to this kirtan like we were doing earlier. I think Yamuna was there probably. That was 2017. She was like, yeah. He was 6 years old, huh? Right? 6? You were 9 years old, so I was there. And went to that, and then I thought there was a kirtan. I was thinking, this is kind of weird. I never seen anything like this. It's kind of strange, but I really felt the energy of the chanting. I was thinking, oh, this is like really amazing. This whatever energy I'm feeling, and so I had experience there, and I just continued having like actual experiences. And Yeah, it's immediate if you practice. And I started chanting when I started chanting on japa. It took me a while to actually have an experience in that, but then once I did, I was like, wow, genuine. And then from that point on, it becomes more. Now I feel like every day is a whole spiritual journey. Itai again.
So what are you looking for when determining like spiritual experience versus like, so what's the differentiator?
What's the word we use for spiritual experiences? We use that word a lot in Krishna consciousness. We say we're feeling very much ecstatic. So what's ecstatic mean?
I feel like you know it.
Well, actually, stasis, it's coming from the word stasis, which actually means body. Ecstatic actually means out of body. So it's an experience that is, I hear myself. Ecstatic means an experience where you're having, can you pause that?
Yeah, sorry.
It means that you are having something, feeling something that's beyond your senses, beyond what you normally perceive. And that's a genuine and real experience. You can have that immediately if you engage in that process. And God leads us here. It's not that, like if we have some desire to seek God, God leads us deeper and deeper. We should never think that, like I heard there's one Christian mystic I listen to. His name is Richard Rohr. And one of the things he says is, like we focus on like salvation. And it's like, if we spend all of our lives focusing on salvation, we forget that we have a life of what do I do with my salvation? Like, what am I going to do with it? Okay, you're saved. What am I going to do with it now? So we can go deep. We can have an experience. We can share it. Thank you, Arjuna. Any other points? Challenges? John?
As a simple thing, a very simple-minded person, I don't mean to preach, it's personal, but the smartest decision I made, renouncing me, the virtue of it being right. I was very young when I started it. Coming here, not understanding anything, not knowing anything, but feeling, I think, mystical aspect, the facade of food, and asking, what is this? What is in this?
Yeah.
That is not just a flavor, but beyond that. My point is, I think it's so wonderful how Krishna scientifically really meets us where we are.
Yeah. God always meets us. If you ask God for help, he'll help you, but you can't put him in a box. Like I was raised pretty, not super deep, like, but I was pretty immersed in Catholicism as a kid. Not like I was like super like, praying the rosary every day. My grandma's prayed the rosary every day since she was 6 years old. Now she's 82. So very devoted lady. But I was pretty much, very intense into the Christian Catholic world. And I liked it. I liked God. I had experiences then too. But, questions arose, doubts came up. And now I look back and I see that there was a whole thing leading me, and that's the courage it takes. You're going to walk a spiritual path. It takes courage. You can't just kind of be like complacent. Oh, I am saved. I don't really. Well, saved is very nice, or liberated in Sanskrit. We say liberated. That's very nice. But what are you going to do with it? It makes you a little different. I hope that means now I want to go out and I want to express love, and I want to express that love of the Lord. And so that expressing of that love is this bhakti yoga. We express it through kirtan, through chanting. We express it through the altar. We express it through dancing. We express it through music. We express it through service, cooking, We're just gonna have some nice, amazing food here. Arjuna's been cooking all day. So, any other questions? Marker.
Did you try any other denominations of Christianity after your doubts?
I did. Yeah, I did. I was I didn't I wouldn't become devoutly into anything else. Because I felt like, I didn't really see very much of a difference there's many denominations of Christianity, but the basic principles are the same, unless there's some like real outlanders like Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses. They're like real outlanders. But like when you go to the core Christian, like Baptists, Catholics, Orthodox, they all follow the Nicene Creed. And they express it differently. And there's reasons for that, but basically the same. I love Christianity. I love it. I love it. My little cross here, and I'll always have it. Every time I take it off, I get a sign from God to put it back on every time. And it's like, even today I took it off and immediately I got this intense sign that I need to put it back on. So, it's not that I have any challenge with it, but rather Jesus says one should love the Lord and love thy neighbor. That's the most important commandment. So what's the best way to execute that commandment? And in my spiritual journey, which God's led me on, I find that it's most definitely in the process of bhakti yoga. And Jesus says you should be a fisher of men. And like we don't want to, if you judge the conversion process or the spiritual salvation process by grace and character development, like actually someone was here and now they're here and they overcame something impossible. When that becomes kind of obviously God's grace is here. That's like a real thing. Like I overcame addictions and things and challenges and big things by the grace of God. So like, I'm not going to deny that happened. So we don't want to just look at the externals. Oh, like he's part of my group and this not part of my group. And therefore there's some conflict that now you're getting into a not really spiritual. So this is why this is science. So yeah, Christianity is beautiful, glorious. I met saintly people of all religions. I have met saints. I met Christian saints, saintly in India. I met and I met him, and the highest concentration of saints I've ever seen is definitely the devotee community. They're amazing. So, all righty, anything else? No challenges? Padma Rukmini's thinking. God, Nitai's back to his old self again. Is this Oma or Nitai?
Would you say your biggest doubts were getting this bhakti yoga?
Wow, that's good. The biggest doubt I had was, can I do this? No, I didn't think I could do it. I really had no, I remember thinking like I'm never going to be initiated. I'm never going to get there. That's impossible for me. And I remember I felt sad, I'm never going to be able to live such a clean life. I'm never going to be able to give up drugs. I'm never going to be able to give up, illicit sex, whatever. I'm never going to be able to give these things up. And I'm just stuck where I'm at. But at least I can be around. As I remember thinking, making a plan, maybe I can just be around, if I can just be around the devotees, maybe I'll be grateful and happy. So I really doubted my own self. And I also had some conflict. I was also I was raised a certain way, and I thought, well, this is the devil, and this is definitely Satan trying to capture me. And kind of one of my doubts too. But then God helped me. God helped me to kind of come out of this this is like a control matrix, religion's the devil. All these people, all the billions of people that are not. I mean, when you travel around the world and you meet people that are like all these different religions, it changes you a lot. Like, okay, like I'm meeting a person who has more love, more kindness, a nicer family than I ever have in my life. And, you know, totally disturbed in mind. I've broken every commandment by the time I was 18 years old, besides killing. I never murdered a human, but if you count killing animals, that's, you know, that's killing.
What kind of animals?
I don't know. Every time you eat meat, you get karma for killing an animal.
I'll say you. Which one did you take out?
Well, I
I'm
mean,
sorry, I'm just
I've eaten meat. That's some karma for killing. That's why we don't eat meat.
I
Meat is.
thought you meant like you.
I did hunt too.
Oh, that's what's
Yeah.
That's
Anyways, I mean, so I mean, we take part in these types of things, and I also, you know, I felt like this is, you know, like, am I betraying Jesus? That these kind of thoughts were coming up, but then I mean, I realized I actually had a deep spiritual experience, something that's real, where I felt like the Lord, you know, I felt Jesus was telling me, you know, you need to walk this path. This is a way of expressing your love and your devotion, and you're following me, and then experiencing how, like, you know, I've been taken somehow or another. God gave me something to do, and for His service, you know, I get to help people, I get to talk to people, and I get to, you know, kind of follow in the footsteps of Jesus. That was like seeing how these people were actually going out, taking people who were living like terrible, like sinful lives, giving them knowledge, giving them mercy, giving them friendship and kindness, and watching them transform into wonderful people. You know, like our guru, you know, he was once like, you know, Gurudev is such a wonderful person, incredibly nice person, and he was with his friend, and he has a friend who's kind of a fanatical Christian, and like Gurudev is so nice and so sweet and so loving and so like full of grace and knowledge, and he loves God more than any man I've ever met. And you know, the Christian man said, well, like, you know, the Gurudev said, so like I was born a Jew, you know, I was born Jewish, and then I became a devotee. And so what about me? And well, people who don't believe in Jesus go to hell. He said that. And then he started crying. He said, God couldn't send you to hell, Jivananda. He said, no, God, he couldn't do that. Because, you know, so there's something bigger, you know, but there's reasons, and there's reasons that scriptures are worded in certain ways. There's reasons behind that. And I mean, I can explain that. That's a whole book. I can write a whole book on that. But those were doubts. Another doubt I had was, can I do it? Am I, you know, what, you know, is this right? Another doubt I had was, you know, well, that was the two biggest doubts. I mean, Bhagavad Gita doesn't leave very much doubt. Yeah, let's all eat together, huh? Anything else? You can contribute? Yeah, good. Okay, thank you very much. You can talk to me personally. I want to eat the food you cook.
Well, it doesn't have to be on there.
Okay.